Hello, today for review I've got yet another recently released interesting hybrid in-ear monitors, and this time they are made by CCA. So I think everyone knows that CCA is a sister brand of KZ, and actually it's the first wired release from both KZ and CCA in the last few months, because KZ seems to be super busy releasing more and more true wireless models. And this is a hybrid in-ear monitors with 7 drivers, if I remember right. Yes, 7 balanced armatures plus 1 dynamic driver, totally 8 drivers per side, and because there are 2 earpieces, they count that as 16. And if that sounds familiar to you, yes, of course, it reminds TRN VX that I recently reviewed. This price of these in-ear monitors is about $60, if I remember right. I got them from Linsol, we'll add links to the description. And what else I can say about them? Actually, CCA already released model with similar index. It was C16 and it was pure balanced armatures, if I remember right. I did a review for them and they looked different. I don't know why, but actually CCA likes to reuse the indexes, because they released C16 and now CA16. Same situation was with C04, then they released CA4, but anyway, I don't think it really matters. Let's have a closer look. Package is absolutely simple with absolutely minimalistic polygraphy, but it has interesting texture, so the box is pleasant to touch. Technical specifications: so 24 ohms of impedance, 102 decibels of sensitivity, so really good figures, not too high, not too low, so everything is normal here. And there is a microphone and no microphone versions, so let's proceed. As usual, box was wrapped in plastic, so you can be sure that no one opened it before you, but maybe they can change it anyway. On the top there is a small pouch with warranty and manual, and here are earpieces themselves. As usual, they need to be shaken out. Really tight fit, and I don't want to tear the package apart. I need to film the Russian version of this review also, so I need to keep them untouched, or more or less so. As you can see, I already damaged them a little bit. Let's take earpieces out. And here, inside of this tiny box, as you can easily guess, one will have stock cable, and 2 additional pair of white silicone tips. So accessory set is pretty basic, and actually for $60 it's not a big issue, but not, of course, not okay. Many other companies managed to add more accessories, but of course CCA were busy packing as much drivers inside as possible. So in terms of design, they remind a lot of pretty similar models. Black plastic, ergonomic shape, just company's name on the faceplates, simple, minimalistic, time-proven design. As you can see, they are not as seamless as, for example, Hi-Fi Boy OS V3, because you can see where they will glue it, but outer part looks pretty nice. Well extended spouts, medium in terms of length, so medium in terms of sound isolation. It's said that they didn't make them transparent, so we can't see the internals. With 8 drivers inside, they definitely should look really interesting. But non-transparent black plastic. Metal spouts with lip for holding the tips with protective grill, so all that things are present here. Tips are a bit unusual with shorter stems, but I think different other tips won't be an issue. Wearing comfort is normal. You just need to find the proper tips, and they fit to vast majority of ears. Luckily nowadays Chinese manufacturers found this good ergonomic shape that fit to almost any ears. Stock cable is simple. It's classical KZ. So we've seen this cable before many times. 2 pin connectors with recessed pins. KZ seems to found the perfect connector, and they seems to be very logical and use it always now. So there are tons of different cables on AliExpress in case you'd like to try something else. But it's traditional time-proven cable, good ear hooks without memory wire, but they holding the cable well, and the rest of the cable, well, it's classical KZ cable. I got a version with microphone quality is just average, so it's mainly for quiet environment and you will need to move it closer to your mouth, so don't expect some brilliant results, but sometimes it can save you in some situations when you need to answer the call without pulling phone out of your pocket. Cable is not super soft, neither it's hard, so it's something in between of those two options. Brown classical cable we've seen many times. I'd like to see something more fancy, but probably I wish too much. They are pretty consistent in using this cable. Besides that, well, nicely built model, not something jaw-dropping, not something stellar, but at the same time not bad. Just, you know, like something formal, classical, like, I don't know, some good suit, for example, black color, always trendy, always okay, and so on. And of course about the sound, I gave them about 48 hours of burn-in, no noticeable changes in sound, but also I did some experiments with tips. Instead of stock tips, I used CP100 by Spinfits, and so what's the issue with these tips? They are a bit too soft, so they not providing the best fit for me, best seal, because they are too soft and too comfortable, and they just didn't isolate channel well, so I need a bit less soft tips, and CP100 is almost perfect, but actually they fitting a bit loose, in a bit loose way, so if the spouts were a bit smaller in diameter, it would be better. But unfortunately I don't have Spinfits with less diameter, so they fitting okay, and I didn't have any issues with tips staying inside of my ear channel. But anyway, they will require a bit more experiments with tips and finding a proper fit. But luckily there are tons of different options nowadays on the AliExpress, so most probably Head-Fi community will find better fitting versions. As a player today I will use Astral & Kern SR15 Norma. Of course SR25 is already available, but unfortunately due to quarantine I can't get it for review. But most probably if I'll get it for review I will keep it and will upgrade my SR15, but we'll see with time. In terms of sound, you know, if you heard CCA C16 or previous version, so this model has nothing in common. So I don't know what is the logic behind releasing the models with almost similar indexes, but making them maybe not the polar opposite of in terms of sound, but really different tuning models. CCA C16 was, well, it's even hard to pronounce, CCA C16, so it was a model focused on the micro detalization, a bit bright. While this model is tuned in the different way, they are on the softer side of things, with much less focus on the detalization and contrast, with more weight and more relaxed representation. Often it's called analog. In terms of frequency response, they are V-shape, but not the traditional V-shape, because accents are not big, and at the same time mids are softened, so a bit unusual tuning. And what it gives, let's find out. So bass here is normal dynamic driver, low frequencies without big accent. Actually, many manufacturers prefer to make a bigger accent on low frequencies and release bass heavy model, but this model of course has accent at low frequencies, but not too much. So it's not some kind of bass canon, not something super bassy, but accent is pretty pleasant, and actually low frequencies are nice. They are not super fast, of course not balanced armatures, but resolution is normal, as well as texturing, and depth is good, so they going pretty deep, and not to the maximum depth of course, but normal good depths. They are pretty well balanced, both with synthesized low frequencies and with the real or acoustic instruments, so pretty technical models that can play anything. Probably people who prefer accented low frequencies won't be satisfied because they will want more, but for my taste it's almost, well, maybe not perfect, but really good amount of low frequencies. It could be a bit more, of course, but not too much. So I'm not a huge fan of accented low frequencies, so for me it's natural and pretty organic bass, and I'm satisfied. But of course, if you listen mainly to some electronic music and you like eyes popping lows, probably you need to find more bassy model. But let's proceed with example, and as an example I selected the Antwoord cookie Thumper, so exactly the case when accented low frequencies could be a plus, but for me they have enough of low frequencies. And what is more important for me in this guilty pleasure for audiophile is a good contrast between the low frequencies and Yolandi's voice, so it's a good balance and good contrast, and this in-ear monitors managed to represent it in a proper way that I like. Mids surprised me a little bit, because I thought for quite a long time what they did with this 7 balanced armatures without getting the resolution focused in-ear monitors. Resolution here is normal, but actually mids are a bit on the softer side, and probably this softness is done on purpose to make the representation more solid, more weighty. So they are really good in weight, they are really good in macro dynamics, but not focused on the micro contrast. So if you like representation that makes maximum focus on the details, it's not a model for you. But if you don't want the earphones that oversaturate the sound with the details, and you like more analog, more vintage representation, it's a really good model. Nice, really nice weight, really full-bodied vocal and instruments. Imaginary stage is about average both in width and in depth, but normal for the three-dimensional stuff. Don't expect some super spacious or expanded stage, but probably it's not the model created for that. They are pretty forgiving for the quality of recording, and it's not surprising with their tuning, so they won't try to get the smallest and tiniest nuances, smallest and tiniest issues with record and throw it to your face, so just relaxed signature, but at the same time they're not super soft, they are not super veiled, so okay, train, beware. Maybe in some near future I will get stereo microphones back and will try to record sounds in stereo, so this train passing by will sounding more interesting. Anyway, let's go back to the sound. So normal resolution, but not focused on the details, more focus on weight and good organic mids. And as an example, interesting, to the right or to the left, where is, yes, here is the proper example. So it's David Bowie, Platinum Collection and Starman. Of course I could select Space Oddity, but it would be too trivial because Space Oddity was on the previous track, and Starman is also good with nice guitar, with David Bowie's signature vocal, and it's, of course, it's an old record and it's suiting the representation of this in-ear monitors, and you know, it's the case of the how it's called, well, it's the case when signature of earphones just fitting the track, and they sounding pretty engaging, and at the same time their resolution is enough to represent guitar in a proper way and vocal too, so it won't be an issue. Treble is also a bit accented, but also not too much, so if you're treble sensitive, probably this model will fit your tastes, because they're definitely not treble accented. Treble extension is about average, but resolution is normal, slight accent to make it a bit more highlighted. Bit faster than they should be at accent decays, but anyway, it's a basic treble to represent all the symbols and all other stuff like that, so you know, it's just treble that fits the general style of these in-ear monitors. And as an example, yep, go back, no, once again go back. So, a bit unusual track, of course. It's Moonspell, one of the best groups in the history of heavy metal. Their first full-length album, Wolfheart, and you know, I still can't believe that this album was recorded in 1995 by the group. The group members were like, I don't know how old they were, but about something about just above 20, and it's really great work that introduced a whole new genre, and still it's the masterpiece that is hard to beat. Or okay, I'm a big fan. And Midnight Ride, it starts slowly and developing slowly, and really impressive moment where this backing keyboard starts their part. It's sounding really impressive thanks to the added weight of these in-ear monitors. And then on the main part there are a lot of percussions, cymbals and other stuff. It's heavy metal at the end, but they're not sounding too sharp, but they're also not too soft, so it's just a balanced amount of treble, lacking a bit of overtones and a bit of extension, of course, but at the same time I'm a fan of treble, so for me more accented treble would be a plus, but anyway, it's not too recessed to sounding not natural. In terms of pairing, they don't require something superb. You can easily use them with a smartphone. They don't require tons of driving power, but some player up to high BR5, some up to this level somewhere, would be a plus for them. Probably I'd pair them with Hidis AP80 because it's a bit focused on the detalization to compensate their signature a little bit, but it's a matter of your preferences, of course. Speaking about the comparisons, for example, TRN VX really recently released with almost similar driver configuration, or not configuration, driver count, and similar in terms of price, but TRN tuned in totally different way. TRN is focused on the detalization, less bass, more mids, brighter sound, more focused on the micro and less focus on the macro, so it's like what sound you prefer. Shozy Form 1.1, more V-shaped with more accented low frequencies, a bit more assessed mids and a bit more accented treble. Well, there are tons of other models, so if you're interested in some other comparisons, just feel free to ask. But actually, CCA sounding a bit different comparing with traditional models like KZ ZSX, for example. So they less V-shaped, and at the same time mids are a bit more softened than traditional, but not too much. So CCA created unusual model. I'm pretty sure they will be discussed a lot in near future. So thank you for listening and have a nice day.